Hi, welcome to Week 8 of Alabama's Weekly for 4th grade history. In this unit, we will discuss Alabama's economic and military role during the Civil War. We will also look at iron production and textiles as well as military provisions. Lastly, we will recognize military leaders and the campaign of the women on the home front. The Civil War, also known as the War Between States, really divided the states. Most of the northern states belonged to the Union, and most of the southern states belonged to the Confederacy. There were a few states that were border states that endorsed slavery but did not want to secede and join the Confederacy or the Southerners. And many states out west were not organized enough to have an opinion. Alabama seceded from the Union on January 11th of 1861, and they promptly joined the Confederate States during the Civil War. Alabama was a slave state, and this was largely because it was agricultural based and had plantations that depended on slaves. And so for their economic future, they decided that they needed to keep slavery in order to harvest cotton and other crops. Many disagreed with this, and this led to the bad relations between the North and South over economics. During this time, a lot of people were dying from disease and battle, and Alabama didn't really have any good hospitals, but it had many women who volunteered as nurses. Soldiers were poorly equipped, and they had to pillage for boots and belts and canteens, which were small water bottles, blankets, hats, shirts, and pants. So really, this was very difficult conditions to be fighting in. Many different slaves worked for the Confederate troops. They cared for the horses, they cooked, they hauled supplies, and especially around areas like Mobile, they were paving roads and repairing railroads so that supplies could get in. And this led to even more tensions between the North and the South. Josiah Gorgas was the chief of ordnance for the Confederacy, and he located a munitions plant, that means like military supplies and weapons, near Selma. And in Selma is where they went ahead and made most of the ammunition for the Navy, and they turned out cannon fire every 5 days. The Confederate Naval Yard built ships, so these are some important items that the Confederates and the Union soldiers had, or why they thought Selma was a stronghold. So it was a naval yard, and it was also an ordnance works. Women during the Civil War, some actually disguised themselves as men and joined the fighting. Others served as spies or nurses, and many took on new roles at the home front. They took care of the plantations. They kept things running while the men were off fighting. Be accustomed to doing with less. Most of the women in the North didn't experience any of this or the violence, but the women in the South experienced violence. They lost their homes. They lost their husbands. They had to make do while the men were off. And this sort of started a movement for working toward women's rights and equal rights. And after the war, we'll discuss how Black Americans gained rights and women's rights shortly followed.